let's take our first subject of the day. A court in the United Kingdom this past week sentenced a former Deputy Senate President of Nigeria, Ekweremadu, to 10 years in prison for a plot to harvest human organ, the first of such conviction under the Modern Slavery Act. Ekweremadu's wife, Beatrice, was given 6 years on the same charge, while a medical doctor was also implicated in the same matter. Obinna Obeta was sentenced to 10 years in prison. The three individuals have been convicted of conspiracy to arrange the travel of one David Nwamini to Britain in order to exploit him for his kidney, which was needed for the former senator's sick daughter, Sonia. It should be recalled that the prosecutor, Hugh Davis, King's Counsel, told the court that the Ekweremadus and Obeta had treated the man and other potential donors as disposable assets, spare parts for reward. Less than 24 hours after the sentencing, Sonia, the daughter of the Ekweremadus, granted an interview to the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, during which she spoke of regret at being the direct cause of her parents' incarceration and imprisonment. She also spoke about the would-be organ donor in the botched transaction.
And the doorbell rings. I think it's our parents, but it's a bunch of police at the door. They tell me this is, what they arrested me for. My first reaction was shock. It was difficult, especially seeing, not even just for me, because if it was a situation where it was just me, I think it would have been easier to handle. But seeing my parents in that situation as well was a lot.
What are your thoughts on your parents' conviction?
It's sad. It's been really hard to really wrap my head around it.
Do you understand the conviction and why they were found guilty?
I understand the conviction. Personally, I disagree with it. However, that's from a very biased perspective as their daughter, and I would obviously always back my parents. However, the law has taken its course, and we just have to now move forward as a family. Apart from the case and the trial, I'm also having dialysis.
What's the name of the condition that you have?
Okay, it's called nephrotic syndrome, FSGS. Basically, my kidneys are small and they have loads of big holes in it. Either I stay on dialysis for the rest of my life or I get a transplant. These are my two options.
Was it not possible to get a donor from within your family?
I had the APOL1 gene. So to us, that kind of meant that, kind of excluded the family, especially on my dad's side, because they have quite a history of kidney conditions. In August of 2021, when obviously I found out that it was a possibility that I would need a transplant, that's when we kind of reached out to people.
How involved were you in finding a donor, in particular this young man?
I wasn't involved at all. It was mostly my family that handled everything to do with my medical side.
Were you aware that your parents were trying to bring someone from Nigeria to the UK?
I mean, I was aware that someone did come forward. I had just come over to the UK, I believe, with my uncle. My mom and I wanted to thank him for that, and the picture was basically for memories.
It was mentioned in court that this man was portrayed as your cousin. Did you know that? That was the case?
No, you should answer that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't answer that.
Were you aware that's the narrative that they were going for?
To an extent, but not really. I didn't really know anything leading up to it. I don't feel anything towards him. I, wish him all the best. And that's really it.
There were some texts between you and your parents, and they offered a couple of people, or they showed you a couple of people who could be donors. Was that not some sort of involvement from your side?
I wouldn't say it's an involvement. They just wanted me to see the progress that they had made.
Have you been able to find someone else?
Well, shortly after that, I had put out an appeal and a lot of people came up. But we weren't really able to do anything with that as of now because I'm still on dialysis. Hopefully, I would be able to, get the transplant soon. But as you know, our family is still in the middle of a trial. I would like to also use this opportunity to apologize to them for the way everything has played out.
You've been seeing them, visiting them in jail all this time. Mm-hmm. Where are their heads at? What are they kind of thinking about the whole situation?
They're quite calm, surprisingly. Yeah.
Do they feel remorse?
I can't really speak on what they are feeling. This is just from an outside perspective, seeing them. They're okay. They're just neutral. What's
sort of been your lesson from all this?
Life is just so dynamic. Like one day you're in your house chilling. The next day, your whole life is turned upside down. So that is my main focus. Try and help specifically people with kidney conditions, just to show that they don't need to be scared. Obviously, there's the support of my siblings and obviously my parents' siblings as well. However, I don't think it would ever be the same. I feel guilty because I feel like all this has happened because of me.
Sonia Ekweremadu there commenting on the sentencing of her parents and Dr. Obinna Obeta. Earlier on, the two chambers of Nigeria's National Assembly, the House of Representatives and the Senate, had sent an appeal to the clerk of the Central Criminal Court of the United Kingdom to temper justice with mercy on the Ekweremadu case. After the judgment was pronounced, a constitutional lawyer, Kayode Ajulo, directed his own letter to the now coronated King Charles III of England and pleaded for a prerogative of mercy for the former Deputy Senate President and his wife over their conviction. Kayode Ajulo joins us now to have a quick chat. Thank you very much, Dr. Kayode Ajulo, for joining us on This Is Live, the Sunday talk show. Well, first, you wrote a letter on the occasion of the coronation of King Charles III, asking for clemency, the prerogative of royal mercy with regard to Senator Ekweremadu's case and his wife, Beatrice Ekweremadu. I noted that in that your letter, you deliberately left out Dr. Obinna Obeta. Can you take us through the motive for this appeal for clemency and the timing of your appeal, different from the earlier appeals by the Parliamentary Court of West Africa and also the House of Reps intervening, the National Assembly intervening, and a global statesman, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, having earlier written a letter to the same effect?
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Dr. Abate. It's always a pleasure to join you here. Well, the chronicle of the traverse of the Ekweremadus, that is the family, all of them is well known to the whole world, and it's quite pathetic. Pathetic in the sense that Modern Day Slavery Act of 2015 is a new law in the United Kingdom. And going through that law, it is unfortunate, and I must say this, that any issue that has to do with criminal liability or criminal proceeding is always unfortunate, because the essence of the law itself, any law that surrounds criminality, is to ensure that such crime should not happen. So both to the society, to the victim, and to the accused, all it is an unfortunate situation. And let me first use this opportunity first to salute the courage of the British Parliament to pass that law. To start with, if you remember, over 200 years ago, British Empire, that the one United Kingdom, has been a forefront of ensuring to stop slavery in all ramification. And that is why we can have the likes of Samuel Ajayi Crowther, and I'm sure we hear the name of somebody like Wilberforce and all those slavery and the slave, those who have been anti-slavery reformers. So, and with this new law, a critical examination of that law, it could happen to anyone. And that is the basic. I know a lot of people will be saying that it serves Ekweremadu right. Yes, he is one of those politicians in Nigeria that have sucked us dry, so he must go for it. Not minding that all of us, including Kayode Ajulo that is sitting here, can be found wanting of that law. Let me give you an example. Many Nigerians do send their mother-in-laws or their mother to UK to take care of their newborn baby. They can be found foul of that law, because the major issue here is that transporting anybody for exploitation you can be found wanting under that law. So what I'm trying to say is that it could happen to anyone. Yes, it is wrong to move anybody from anywhere for organ transplant. Though we think we should know better, because you find out that even in Nigeria today, some people are even hawking their organ, begging who will buy. But so, as it is quite unfortunate for Ekweremadu. And again, by the time you now look at the reason behind taking that step, there is nothing. I'm a father. I have young daughters and sons. I know what it takes to ensure that you keep them right on their feet. There are sometimes that, like I told someone yesterday, I said, my mother that I know can do that 10 times. God forbid it happen to us. So this is a situation that calls for sober reflection. This is a situation that we need to call for mercy, and I think that is exactly what I did. Normally I do exchange some correspondence with King Charles since the time his mother died. I remember when his mother died, we exchanged some correspondence, and with which he even replied, and which I said this is the way things should work. Because in Nigeria, sometimes you write a president, even ordinary commissioner of police will never even acknowledge not to even write a kind words to you. And I felt the first thing that needed to be done is to congratulate him on the auspices of his coronation, which was beamed live, very glorious, and to salute him and to pray for him. And after praying, we remember that one of our countrymen, not only countrymen, a colleague, a PhD holder in law, is presently languishing in jail in the United Kingdom. And what occasion, after penning such letter, to Hardy that, look, because I call him, I even tell him that, look, very soon I want to start calling him the King Charles the Merciful. And being King Charles the Merciful, you need to show that mercy by granting the royal prerogative of mercy, which is a tradition in the United Kingdom. And I think I even state some instances in 1717, his great-great-great-grandfather, King George I, invoked that royal prerogative of mercy to free the prisoner. And his mother, the late mother, that is Her Majesty the Queen, in several instances, I think I stated almost 6 or 5 instances and stated the year and what really happened. If his mother could do this, a Nigerian senator, I'm not even thinking of Nigerian senator, a Nigerian is languishing in jail for an offense that could happen to anyone. And that is the basic reason why I did that. And I believe I'm expecting to hear what will be the outcome of such correspondence. And okay, I think we need to do that particularly.
2 quick questions.
Thank you.
Your appeal to King Charles III is based on precedents. And you already mentioned it, King George I and Queen Elizabeth II. But other similar appeals from the ECOWAS Parliament and also from President Olusegun Obasanjo were basically character witness evidence. You didn't talk about character at all. You just base your appeal on stare decisis. And then, of course, you left out Obinna Obeta. Why is it that everybody that is appealing either to the court at Old Bailey or to the British authorities in general, just dwells on, past evidence, stare decisis, character witness, and nobody has talked about that Obinna Obeta? Are you saying, by implication, in your allocutors after the fact, that the doctor involved in the matter is guilty as charged, but for other reasons, the Ekweremadus should be considered for pardon?
Well, I won't say that, and let me start with the first one. If you remember, the Olusegun Obasanjo's the parliament, both in Nigeria and international one, they are South Africa in Africa. They've written about his character, and why I never even bothered to raise the issue about his character again is that even in the judgment and the sentencing, you can even realize that the court, that is the honorable judge of that matter, even lay an allusion to his character, that there's no doubt about his character, being a gentleman, being an upright man. He said in the judgment, which is quite very, very surprising that an English court will say that. Once you are convicted, your name will your title immediately will be removed. Instead of calling you senator or chief or lord, immediately you are Mr. and they ask you to stand up and sentencing will come. So for the court to even go to that type, to one point or another affirm his character, I don't think one need to say anything about that again, and that is one. And secondly, the issue of character has really passed now. What matters most is the situation, the intent. Unfortunately, the offense committed is strictly liability offense where the intents don't count. But still, when we are asking for mercy, you have to try to pick out some of the things that must be considered, because mercy is not even given automatically. There must be some reason. Like in some of the instances, I even mentioned where a prisoner was, the invocation of that prerogative of mercy was invoked to free a prisoner, a convict who has committed an heinous crime because of one simple thing. Because when the warder had a problem, while faced a when he faced a death incident, the prisoner stood out to save the warder, the prison warden, and the king, that is the monarch, felt that this prisoner need to be given mercy, and mercy is granted. And that is the issue. And the obeta, I must be sincere, the essence of the reason why maybe he may be left out is the fact that when you cause your pen to ask for mercy, there must have been one or two things you know about the person you're asking for mercy for. I must be sincere. Ekweremadu has been a senator in Nigeria, a politician. Apart from that, a lawyer that we have shared several platforms. I remember in 2020, we were at the annual general conference of the NBA, where we are both panelists, we are speaker there. And before then, he has been a professor in some university. We have shared notes, we visited each other, so I can stick my neck out for him to say, yes, I know this person, this is who and who it is. But such cannot be said about Obeta. So I think that is the reason, and I believe Obeta belonged to an association, I believe, being a medical doctor. And I'm very sure some of his colleagues must rise to the occasion to write on his behalf. And I think that is why, because if tomorrow, King Charles, I should receive a correspondent to say, can you come and speak about these people you mentioned? What do you want me to say about Obeta? And I think we have to, sincerity is what matters most here. So I think that is the reason why maybe he may be left out. And I believe he's not left out in generally, because I know a lot of people are talking about him. And talking about the issue of that letter of character, I'm aware that over 1,000 letters has been written about Ekweremadu. My worry and what I don't really like about when the matter is still pending in court is this rooftop advocacy, where because the system, the judicial system, particularly the proceeding, need not to be taken to public space. To me, I see the one you make public as at that time an interference to the judicial process. And that is one issue I have again about that. But I am aware, which I know, that several letters, but the best way I believe that this should be done is to send the same letter to his attorney, because he has a barrister in court, that we now know a format of how to present this matter before the judge. Maybe during their locutors to say this man, to talk about his character. He can even say that right before me, it's over 1,000 letters from his kinsmen, from his associates, from his friend, from the school where he has taught, and go on and on. But not that a judge, everything will be on the street. And I think, like what I mentioned yesterday, it is more like a carryover from what we used to do in this our climb, where a matter will be in court, instead for us to allow the court, that is the judge, to dispense the case, to determine it as he deems fit, and to determine it with what he has before him. You You see many people, some will even buy Ashwebi, some will bring placard, some will even be threatening the court. Recently I learned, and which is quite unfortunate, an NSC president, new NSC president, saying he's going to open and create hall of shame for some judges. And I wonder, is it the NJC who has the power to discipline the judges? And because you see that such person seem to have a case in court that is praying that the court should determine in its own way, quote and unquote, rightly. And that one shouldn't be. And these are the things when we talk of interference to the judicial process. And that is why you can notice that I waited until when the case has been dispensed with. Now, though I'm not part of the defense, it is defense team, I don't really know, maybe it may go on appeal, or maybe they will go to Court of Appeal or Supreme Court. But I think that yesterday occasion, I think warrants such kind of correspondence.
Okay, the Ekweremadus have been sentenced by a court of first instance. What would be your advice to Ekweremadu's lawyers? Because it looks like they have an option to go on appeal. And what would be the value when the matter goes on appeal of all these interventions?
Yes, Ekweremadu has an option of appeal. And I've gone there. Yes, last night I read the judgment. So I think by my ethics and from the circumstances of the issue, it won't be that nice to profile my advice in public. The counsel is someone that I believe if I make a little research, one can reach. If you remember, I was in court at least once or twice during the trial. And if there is any advice, it has to be done, particularly being a senior lawyer, a queen's counsel. It won't be nice, and it won't be that sophisticated, let me use the word, to profile and advise to a senior counsel on the face of the TV. And I don't think I need to do that. We have a way of saying such
and it will make professional sense, except you are invited to become part of the legal team, okay? Right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And again, it may even, such advice may even come with my invoice. To
yes, I know.
That's on a lighter note.
You don't want to give free legal advice. But let me ask you, earlier on this program.
No. But again, it is expected that the regards of it is not to advise a senior counsel. Even a junior counsel, it's not. I think it's not that right with the ethics of the profession. You so advice on television, on hair like this. I don't think it will be.
I get the point.
On television.
But Sonia Ekweremadu granted an interview to the BBC, part of which we aired earlier on at the beginning of this program. As a father who has also expressed concern as a father, what's your reaction to this paternity, parenthood dimension of this whole saga?
Well, I have to be sincere here. I think maybe this is another part you may not know about me. I'm quite an emotional person. Yesterday, when I listened to our interview, I refused to even end the interview because I stopped it. So this afternoon, when you are showing it, I have to even stay off because it's depressing, except I don't really know how, it depends on where you are coming from, your pedigree, your background. I come from where that you show emotion is part of, and what I'm doing here, of course, to leave my house, to leave my office, to sit in front of TV discussing Ekweremadu for almost an hour where you can charge for, you mean that it's something that that really affects one. As a father, it's quite depressing, and I just pray that some people may not have some psychological breakdown, because anytime I remember when you mentioned the name, and my body cringes. It's like seeing your daughter talking about this. And mind, don't forget, this is someone at the throes of death, because I know issue of kidney. It is a life-threatening issue, and still talking. You can just imagine what the young lady, what she's going through now, facing the issue of the kidney, and now having two, not even one. Your father or your mother, I know how attached daughters, they're attached to their father. Now we're having the issue of father, we're having the issue of mother. I even pray that the British authority know to have a 24-round clock surveillance on the call. I will urge that such should be done, because I know how We may be seeing it from other brain. I don't really know how some people feel it, but to me, it is quite creating painful. It's quite disturbing and it's quite depressing. And this can make one to even call his therapist today to say, please, I think I need to have some minutes with you to let us discuss this Ekweremadu issue, because it is so wrenching. It's so disturbing.
Well, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Dr. Kayode Ajulo, for joining us on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on Arise News.